it pointing that way then? It's not pointing right at you? I thought maybe they just wanted your reaction to what's going on.
The audience.
Almost got it. I think you did. Just in the last, I don't know, so many months and all that, but I know. Yeah? How about Bill Edwards?
Any other seats?
Yes. You can't say. Well, Bill used to work for, you work for Slippers? Never? That's a different Bill Edwards. That's funny. I mean, I know a lot of Edwards.
Drooling over the dog.
Anybody else? Yeah, right. There's a cowboy. I don't know.
Good afternoon, everyone. How was lunch?
Good.
Good to hear. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Steve Freeman, circuit rider with New York Rural Water. A couple things. Don't forget about our Chinese auction that we have going out by the registration desk. It's a good fundraiser for us, and we need it. Hi, Sharon.
I think you found a gas leak.
I think this is a new rule this year. I didn't come up with it, so don't blame the messenger. Please turn your phones to silence or vibrate, because if your phone goes off during the presentation, you don't get a stamp. I had to stop my room. Anyway, tonight's carnival night. We hope you all visit our vendors in the exhibit hall. Lots of fun, games, drinks, lots of prizes, cash prizes, all kinds of good stuff. Got this class is one that excites me a lot. I haven't seen Dan's presentation, but I've seen a presentation by another trainer, and it's mind-blowing. It's going to be great. Today we have Dan Levy and his dog Shadow, and his company is called Nose to the Ground Water Leak Detection. Just a brief history, Dan is a certified water operator and works with the town of Geneseo Water right here in New York. Dan is here to present an innovative alternative to current leak detection methods. Please join me in welcoming Dan and his canine Shadow.
Thank you, Steve. We're going to start out with a short video.
2 trillion gallons of water are wasted in the U.S. alone. Populations are growing, prices are rising, disappearing water sources, and rapidly failing infrastructure. Sometimes the odds can seem stacked against us, but there is hope, and it comes from our best friend, the dog. Decade after decade, we have relied on our four-legged friends. We have trusted them to serve and protect our military and law enforcement. They have saved countless lives with search and rescue missions. And have astonished us in the medical field, able to sniff out cancers and diseases. They give us so much, and all they require is a bowl of kibble and love in return. big ask, but I think they're ready for a new mission. With their exceptional noses, we now ask our companion, the dog, to help put a stop to water waste. With a nose that can detect 1 to 2 parts per trillion, dogs are perfectly developed to seek and locate unseen water leaks that cost the world millions of dollars annually. If they can find the unseen leaks, we can fix them. It's a big task, but side by side with our best friend the dog, we will see it done.
This is my partners, Carrie Kessler and Lisa Jones. Carrie's down in Arkansas, and Lisa's in Ohio. And so together we sort of covered the eastern coast, wherever we need to go. So I've been in town in Geneseo for about 12 years now, and I have over 30 years of experience in heavy equipment and installs and repairs of water mains. Started off in the private sector, worked alongside my father. He's actually one of the reasons I'm doing this. He mentioned to me one day about water leak detection dogs, and I've trained in the past for waterfowl, so ducks and geese. I have a couple labs that I've done that with, so I couldn't help but look into this a little more. So going forward, I made some phone calls and really quickly connected with Lisa and Carrie, and I did their online training program that Lisa has developed. She usually does a couple of presentations with me, so that's her right there. She runs a 5-year-old boxer named Duke, and he is imprinted on treated water and on scent. They do sex sport, so there's actually a sport out there where dogs compete to find a certain scent that they're looking for, like a birch oil is a common scent. Shadow is 1 year old, and he's been imprinted on just water. So water loss, it's a worldwide problem. Water's being, traded like a commodity, just like oil, coffee. You buy it from this town to that town. It's not unlimited. There's 17 countries listed as suffering from water shortages, and in 2003 there were 4 countries that reported water scarcity, and the U.S. was one of them. The cost of water is going up, and it's going to keep going up. And actually, leaks have now they determined there is sort of a carbon footprint with it. The amount of electricity that you're wasting for pumping, using pumps more often. Can everyone hear me? My microphone's over there. Is everyone good? So who's responsible for all the water loss? Well, everyone needs water. It's a human right. And putting a cost to the water can solve using excessive water at homes. But we're kind of the main responsible people for this. We're operators. We should be looking out for water conservation. We're stewards of it, and it's up to us to do our best not to waste our resources. That being said, water, our manpower, electric. The amount of water loss in the U.S. is pretty staggering. The average water loss can be, 15%, which is actually pretty low, up to 50%. And I actually heard a town that had 70% water loss. That's a big problem. That's a lot of waste. There's a water break in America every 2 minutes, and there's a total loss of $1 to $2 trillion a year. That equates to $10 million a year if you charge $5 per 1,000 gallons. So that's $10 that all the taxpayers and us have paid for, and it basically just gets thrown in the air. Water loss is due to mostly aging infrastructure. There's actually 2.2 million miles of water infrastructure, and if you were to replace 11,000 miles a year, it's going to take you 200 years to do it. So after 200 years, where are we? Back right in that big problem of having major water losses. So new infrastructure is a great goal, but fixing whatever water leaks we can fix, that's the answer. Why is the cost going up? We have rising electricity prices. Electricity and water don't typically mix except when you need to pump 80 million gallons a day. And then you have lead and copper. You know, having to update all that. We're all doing our lead service inventories now. That's going to be a huge cost to taxpayers. And then we have our forever chemicals. The advisory level was at 70 parts per trillion. Now I believe they already changed it to 4 parts per trillion. It's estimated to cost $400 billion to treat it and test for it. That's many times more what the federal government is already giving us, you know, to treat the forever chemicals. So you guys know what's in your ground, every little line. If you do, that's one of the things that keeps me coming back to water. You never know what you have going on. I like problem solving. These are some pipes that we have back in Geneseo. Those are some 1-inch service lines on the left there. And they are being, if you look at the pipe, I actually have a sample here after the presentation if you want to come look at it. It looks like it's being eaten almost from the outside in. And that hole did not, those half-inch holes there, they didn't occur overnight. So how many years did it take for that water to actually make it to the surface? And then we have this oddity right here. We have about 2 miles of this. This is an aluminum line. It's 3 inches. It's coated with epoxy, and there's aluminum, and then there's plastic on the inside. And whenever we go and find a water leak on this line, it's just a mess. If you ever see aluminum corrode, it gels up, it disintegrates. I've seen it where just that plastic line, it looks like a plastic bag that you could just pop with a screwdriver, is the only thing holding that water loss back. Moving on to, we're not talking about these type of leaks. These are the ones that I love. They show themselves, they're big and nasty. You show up, you repair them. By the end of the day, you're high-fiving, you can solve the problem. As I said, these leaks right here with a half-inch copper, they take 5-10 years to show themselves. So what do you guys use for leak detection? Probably microphones, right? That's probably like the most common. If you're lucky, you got a correlator, and there's also sonoscopes. So
they call me.
Oh, you wouldn't have liked me if I So 4 major types of leak detection. Chemical, really easy example. You put some dye in the toilet, see if it's leaking. You got pressure. If you got a pressure gauge on your line, or worse, you got customers calling and saying that there's low pressure. You know you have a problem there. Then you have sound, so if you're using one of our senses, sound. There's many different devices that use that. And then thermal imaging and sonar. Pretty good stuff. I don't have any access to that. As far as sound goes, that's what we're going to be comparing the dog with. He uses his sense of smell, and we're trying to use our sense of sound and electric devices to hear what the water line is doing. So, big problem with sound is that it is subjective. So it means, for example, you really like the song, What's New Pussycat? I start playing it. You're loving it. Everyone else says, I'm out of here. I hate the song. Different sounds are going to sound different to different people. I don't mean to offend you if you actually do like What's New Pussycat. The sound's going to sound different based on size of lead, size of pipe, pipe material, backfill, and the pressure behind that lead. So, in the low end, you've got the sonoscope. Pretty easy to handle. They're great for going up and touching a valve or a hydrant, any fixture. You want it to be quiet, but how good is your hearing? I know I've been around equipment my whole life, and my wife says I should probably go get tested. So maybe my hearing's not the best. These are readily available. They're very inexpensive, and there's really no special training needed. This little guy figured it out. I think we all can use these pretty efficiently. There's also no batteries, and they are durable. Moving on up, we have acoustic microphones. Sensitive microphones, they can range from, get a fairly cheap one, maybe $400, up to $5,000 or more if you're going to go and get some different adapters for it. Different adapters include, a cup-shaped microphone. You got your pods you can try to stick into the ground, or even a magnet to stick onto hydrants and valves. More expensive models are going to come with a digital screen, and this can help take out that subjectivity that sound gives you. But you still need to interpret the data. The screen doesn't say leak found. You really need to get the experience to do that. And to do that, it can cost as much as $10,000 to become efficient with one of these. And that includes, the teacher, traveling around, time, and real life experience. That's just the typical one we use. It's got a really nice screen on it, microphone, Bluetooth headset. Don't turn them up to 11. Your ears are not going to thank you. I know I've been blown out, in the ear a couple times with them, especially when a car comes by. Some of the problems with these devices, though, plastic pipe, more plastics going in these days, and sound sucks up, or plastic sucks up that sound. Sound does not transfer well through plastic. You also have weather. I don't know if you've ever tried to leak detect one of these in any sort of rain, the wind. I've even had ice in the ditch. I could hear it just crackling, and it's basically a give up for that day. Then by far most dangerous is the traffic. When you're listening to these devices, you're not hearing the outside world. You're very focused on where you're stepping, where you're going. If you have water lines that are in the road or right next to the shoulder, you really need to be careful with these. Try to have a lookout unit if you can. Now, it's been suggested to me before, if you're in a busy area, maybe try going out after hours or at night. And, Grandpa always said nothing good happened after midnight. All it takes is one car for anything to become dangerous. So we try not to do this anymore, going out after hours or at night. We have a road, Westlake Road, and it's windy. The posted speed limit is 45 and 55. You've been on the roadside. No one's driving that speed limit. People are going by at 60, 65 miles an hour. So that's one of my least favorite places to try to detect with a microphone. So last but not least, as far as the digital devices go, correlators. They're pretty expensive. I've seen them up there for $5,000, all the way up to let me give you a demo. So that probably means it's a scary price if they don't want to just come up and say it. They're sophisticated sensors. They're wireless. They communicate. Usually you put them on a hydrant or a valve. And you don't want to drop these. Like I said, they're expensive. They're sensitive. They require a bit of training and experience. And you must put accurate data to get to receive good data. So we had a guy come out to do some leak detection with us, and we started punching in the information. We got the distance. We got the size of the pipe. He said, "What's the material?" I said, "Plastic." He said, "Oh, this is going to be a long day." I said, "I never used correlators before this." I said, "What's the problem?" He said, "Plastic sucks." I mean, plastic's great in the ground, but it's just hard to locate sometimes. Moving on up, we've got the dog. He's using his other sense, his sense of smell. Man's best friend. They're nature's own biosensor. I don't know if you've heard of e-noses. Maybe you've seen them in enclosed spaces where you're smelling for a dangerous gas. They're also used in the food industry for quality control. My brother works for Starbucks, and he was saying they have e-noses to make sure their coffee's smelling right. He says they are extremely expensive. They're very delicate. And in the end, the final taste test, they actually still use humans for that. The e-nose can't be the human. So it's going to be a while before e-nose is going to compete with a dog. A well-trained dog can smell somebody from 12 miles away, and they can locate their objective 40 foot in the ground. And dogs smell at a rate of 1 to 2 parts per trillion. That's 1 drop in 20 Olympic-sized swimming pools. We dose chlorine in parts per million, and you can't even compare what the dog can smell. They've got the nose to do it, to find what we're looking for. Brief history on leak detection. It started in Australia in 2017 with Australia's water company. They started conducting some trials with some dogs. The trainer was Steve Austin, and he'd done some work with narcotics dogs and also for feral animal control. So they were able to teach the dog to find water. Then it went over to Great Britain. Tad Bohannon was the CEO of Arkansas Water Company, or Arkansas Water. He was over in Great Britain and heard about this, and he was fascinated. So he took all he could learn from it on that trip, brought it back to Arkansas, and Arkansas immediately tried to find a dog that was capable of doing this work. They found Vessel, who was a black lab mix. She's from the Paws for Prison program. So she's a rescue dog. It was a great fit for her. And her training was done by Carrie Kessler and Tracy Owen. Carrie, again, she's one of my partners down in Arkansas. She's like the mother of canine leak detection. Here's a list of the dogs that we've got out there so far. Starting with Vessel, and then moving down to Duke. That's when Elisa joined in. She trained him through Carrie, and then I ended up making phone calls, and they put me through. I'm the first one in America to go through this online training program. We had really good success with it, and since then we've also done Delta and Jelly Bean. Delta, she's out of, she's owned by Mindy Evans, and they have a program called Boondock Chefs Leak Detection, and then Sam Copeland runs Jelly Bean, and they're out of Tennessee. Their company's Go Water Inspector. What makes the magic happen in the nose? Well, dogs have 300 million olfactory receptors up there. That's compared to our 60 million. And once they find that scent plume, they can work to the greatest concentration and kind of pinpoint it based, if there's a puddle that's 20 by 20 of just, really good treated water, he's gonna locate in the area, but he can also find, any of your pinhole leaks that just aren't showing up, that gas is still coming up, they're gonna be able to find it. And when the dogs are running around trying to find that smell, it takes 30th of a millisecond to recognize the smell. And they have 40 times greater smelling than us, so they've got us beat. Further look into the nose, starting at the nostrils can actually smell independently. They have a strong right bias when they start sniffing. If the smell is familiar, they change to their left side, and they paint themselves a picture through the data that they're gathering and processing in their brain. It's like they can see and smell. Smell vision. So, right there at the nostril, at the nostril you have air that goes in. The side slits is where it exhales, so it does not interfere with the new scent coming in. Then you have the olfactory recess. That's the home of the 300 million receptors. And if you were to break this open and lay it out for surface area, there's 150 to 170 centimeters squared of bone there. Compared to humans, we have 5 to 10. So it's huge. It's a huge difference. Separating the olfactory recess is the lamina traversa. This actually is a small bone that blocks the air from escaping. So the scent comes in, and it comes up through, and the new scent, or the scent actually stays in this piece. So when they exhale, they don't lose the scent. It's just a constant inflow coming into the brain. The olfactory bulb is where it's all processed, and that part is 40 times bigger than humans. Nothing is splashing out of the ground. We got some wind playing here. We send the dog up. When that dog gets to those points, if it's treated water, and that's chlorine gas and fluoride, the whole treated water concoction, that dog's gonna alert. Shadow's alert. We're out looking for a hide. He's gonna find his objective, and he's gonna look up at me. What he's saying is pay me. And it's cheap though, you know, it's a couple of treats. For him, it's his whole world. Some other reason to choose a dog, dogs don't care. Plastic pipe, it's not a problem. They're not listening for anything other than good boy when they find that lead. Untreated water, they also don't care about untreated water. They've been trained to ignore untreated water. This is actually one of the first searches we did. It's in a horse pasture, and I've got 12 bands on this line myself over the years that I've worked at the town of Geneseo. Typically what happens, show me. Typically what happens is there's a big wet spot, the horses come in, they're drinking out, they're stomping around in it. We run out there with our equipment and we dig for a leak. We usually find a leak. So I brought him out there, he did not alert. And I was like, oh man, is he broken? Well, a month later, we had a really big dry spell, and that place dried up, dust dry, bone dry. So he saved us from having to go out there and do an investigation to see if it's actually a leak. Weather. Dogs, if they're properly geared up, they can go through all sorts of weather. When it's cold, if it's cold or it's really hot, we have protective booties, you know, to stop them from getting frostbite or burning their feet. We also have goggles we put on the dog. They're kind of cool looking, but this is to protect their eyes. They can go into so much more stuff than we even care to go through, you know, briars and bushes and thorn apple. This protects his eyes so he can go where he really wants. Excuse me. We also have coats and jackets we can put on when it's actually, you know, snowing out and freezing out, just to keep them warm. Another great part of having a dog on your team, public relations. They put a face on your water system. People love seeing the dog out there working. And it shows that you are being proactive in finding water loss. Everybody's not going to remember Scruffy Joe, the 56-year-old guy that turned off the water last week during the catastrophic water break. They don't know who that guy is. They're not even looking at him. But when they see a leak detection team going through the neighborhood, they come up and meet the dog. Then they find out the dog may be saving taxpayer money. Turns out they end up liking that dog even more. So if you're interested in having me, or I don't know how far away you are, but my partners, we come out and do a demonstration, area searches, short distance, long distance, transmission lines, basically anything that's in the ground, we'll come out and look. Now, if you want to up your game and not just bring a dog out for a day or two, we have a couple options. We have a training program. Lisa Jones developed this. It's proven. I've done it, and we have the 2 dogs that are finished, and there is a handful of dogs going through the program as we speak. Lessons starts out with lessons being emailed to you. You follow the lesson that we give you. You send in a video of that lesson via YouTube. We review it. We give you the feedback and tell you, how to progress. And we're always there for support. Phone, text, email. We start them out really young. This is
Exercise 3.
Like a couple weeks into training. He's bopping around in boxes, doing his thing. We like that he's scattering boxes, putting his head in there. We don't want them to be afraid of anything because there's a lot of new context out there in the world that they need to get used to. This is a little further down the line with training. Notice he goes right over this puddle. He doesn't care. He gets to the hide here on the far right. He looks down. Now, I went and gave it to him pretty quick because I knew it was there, but he looks up at me and says, "Paid." If you think training the dog's too much, but you really want a dog, we can train the dog for you. We've already done this training ourselves, so we're pretty comfortable making sure your dog's going to succeed. If somebody was to choose this program, again, we still go through Lisa Jones's program. We can handpick the dog for you. We evaluate that dog. We do a minimum of 3 training sessions a week, and they take at least an hour apiece. So there is a dedication to getting one of these leak detection dogs. It's not anything you really want to start out with for a week, forget about it for a month. You sort of just keep progressing every week. Your dog's going to be, they're going to see a lot of different locations for their training. They're raised in a family setting, and 2 kids, a boy and a girl, and they love terrorizing the dog, so it's actually good for the dog. They learn to kind of live with it. We also teach basic obedience, and all of our training is positive reinforcement. We love our dogs. We're nice to them. We treat them good. Some of the tests that I make sure get done, this is a drive test. So what I'm doing is making sure the dog is not reading off my behavior. Dogs can read us so much better than we can read them. Anything that I'm feeling, it like goes right down the leash. He can tell if I'm mad or anxious. I don't even train on those days. But I'm hiding in this blind. I'm hiding in this blind right here, so he can't see me, grabbing a treat or even looking in the direction of the hide. Again, we want him bumbling around and stumbling around, banging in the boxes. That's all the better. Wanted to see what he would do with some heavy equipment around him. We had a D8 out on our property. I sat him up there and told him to sit. As you can tell, he really isn't paying attention to him. He really doesn't care. That's what we want. When he's working, we don't want him scared of these things or really interested in them. We like socialization. This is one of my big old dogs, Dapper, playing with him as a puppy. We make sure that you're going to see dogs in the world out there when you have a dog running around different towns. So when we have your dog, we treat him like family. He's not just something that we train. We want to find a lead dog. What makes a good lead dog? First thing, you want drive. Anybody bird hunt, any type of hunting out there, you want that dog that wants to fetch and play and retrieve. This guy right here, he'll go out in 10-degree weather every day and want to retrieve every day, all day. That's the kind of dog that you want. That hunting drive, there's a lot of different breeds. I prefer labs, but we have shepherds out there, spaniels, and I think there's actually some pinchers out there. And my partner runs a boxer, which no one usually thinks that a boxer can do scent work, but they're actually really good at it.
Come here! Good boy! Good boy! Good boy, Maggie!
Second, you want that nose. You want a dog that wants to follow his nose. I know when you're taking your dog for a walk and he wants to smell the pee spot or the food over there, and you pull him off it, all he's doing is being a dog. Dogs love following their nose. So if you got a dog that likes to do that, this may be a really good job for him. Then we look at, is the dog curious? Is he shy? Is he afraid of things? Is he afraid of cars, trucks, water, grass? What sets off your dog? And we get through that with our training. We go to different areas and locations, and we can try to train that out of the dog. It's always easier to bring a high energy dog down. It's a little tougher to get the, Great Dane, I love them, but they might be a little lazy and not as much drive to actually do this work. We also look at the dog trainable. Does he want to learn? Some dogs don't really want to listen to you. If you look into their heritage, you'll find, if you get a good training line or a good hunting line, a lot of them like to learn. They want to be taught. And you want your dog to be good with children. They're going to be out there in the world. And when they're going to town A or town B, little kids are going to see a dog. They're really going to want to come to see them. It's not all the dog. It's also a team thing. You as a handler, or me as a handler, we need to adjust to what the dog's doing. We cannot go and guide the dog. This is a little different than, forcing the dog to walk alongside you. When I go out for a leak, to detect a leak, he's at the steering wheel. I'm just holding on for dear life. He's got a hyper drive, man. He goes Mach 5. And it's just, when I get out in the field, he's the boss. He gets to go where he wants to go. I can try to keep him on line. I mean, if I know the water line's point A to point B, he'll generally go in that direction. But if he says, I'm going 6 feet over here, it's probably for a good reason. So what breed would you go for? Again, the dog that wants to play ball, that wants to go and fetch. Maybe not the breed to go for would be a Chihuahua or a Papillon, the little toy guys. All dogs love to use their nose. A lot of these little guys have hyperdrive. They want to do the work, but one of the benefits to a dog is, I can cover a mile, half hour, just going around, and the little guys they're going to take all day to get that. One of the ways I like to approach it though, when I am walking for a lead, is we go out, we locate maybe 5 spots, and then we bring in other equipment to go and listen to where we think there might be a leak. Nothing's perfect out there. If there was, we wouldn't be in this room. We'd all be using the perfect leak detector. And having the dog part of your arsenal is just, if you're a plumber, would you show up with just a hammer to fix a toilet? No, you bring every tool you know you need. And that's how this dog should be used. He can help verify and clear that. He can help clear that mile. To go a mile with a correlator or with other sound equipment, he can give you a starting point. Even if he's within 20 feet of the leak, I would much rather go and take my microphone and do this for 20 feet than to say, look at that whole mile I need to locate. We're putting in the work. I work for the town of Geneseo, so therefore we get the benefit of having the dog at the town of Geneseo. Like I said, we've cleared that horse pasture. We have found leaks in meter pits. This is on Westlake Road. This right here is a wet spot, and that's right where the water line is. The valves line up, so told to go down, check out that wet spot. So I parked off of the side road adjacent to Westlake Road and let the dog go. He went by this. He goes right by this meter, or this vault. Something turned him. It's really hard to do video when you're chasing a dog. Pay me. He goes back. Pay me some more. Overtime. Triple time. He wants it. He's hungry for it. So we opened up that vault. We had a bad stem in our lost valve. It was actually carrying down in the ground on the Westlake Road. Wasn't showing up here, or wasn't showing itself at the actual vault because it's a vault. So we got that repaired. That was a good one we found. This is from my partner Lisa. She's a wastewater and water treatment operator. And this is back in 1970. This plant here is still current, it's still up and running. But somewhere after 1970, they completely bulldozed this part of the plant. And rumor has it that they just went through it with a bulldozer. I heard they said there's plans in there, furniture. I don't know if it was just the way things were done, you know, out with the old, into the new, but all was lost in that plant. So this is the same area where that second now disappeared wastewater treatment plant was. You could see a whole housing development was put over it. Well, they started noticing water coming out of the hillside here. And it wasn't too bad, but then they went and they did some tests on it and found that it had chlorine in it. So they said we better go investigate it more. Well, Lisa was just getting into the water leak detection at the time and said, I've got a dog that can look for it. So she brought her dog out. This is one of the older plants that they have. You can see the water line. This is part of the old water line that went through the old water or wastewater treatment plant. And that leak is about here. That's where they know water's coming out. So they brought the dog in. They located up here and up in here. They went and did a dig there. And they found some water. It is clean water in there. Unfortunately, they went to go and try to turn that water off to be able to repair that leak. So they went and dug that up, found water. They were going to go do the second spot, but before they did, they tested out some valves and found out they couldn't shut it down. So they're making preparations to be able to replace the valve and shut it down and get it all repaired. It was a success. They did find the water. So to sum it up, municipalities are growing. There's more and more people, more housing, and even more people want safe drinking water. Not even safe drinking water, I mean they do, but there's also the benefit of not having your water heaters burn out and all your fixtures staying clean. We put in a few new water lines in the last few years. Everyone I've talked to, they're like, what a blessing this water is. The treated water, they love it. People really want that stuff. Household budgets are really tight these days. We cannot let non-revenue water loss just go straight on to the taxpayer. It's not fair, it's not responsible, and it's not getting us ahead anyway. There are many tools available. The dog is more than a tool. He's your family, your co-worker, spokesperson, and it's up to you and your dog as a partner. You need to work together to practice these skills to be a great team. I will allow questions in a second, but I have a few questions for you. What is the benefit to having a dog join your municipality or team? Anybody?
Another tool.
Another tool, PR? They're both right. Got great for public relations. They don't care about pet material. They can save taxpayer money. Weather and traffic do not affect them, and they are another tool. How do dogs locate the water? Smell. With their super sensitive nose, they can smell off-gassing and treated water, even if the leak is not coming to the surface. Well, what kind of dog can do leak detection work? Any dog. But what not dog you might not want to choose? The little guy. It might not work out so great. So, if you ever want to contact me or my partners, I did pass out little packets with Shadow's trading card and a business card and some info. But these are also my partners' websites and contact information. We are going to do a demo with Shadow, and I'm going to need a volunteer. I need to Real simple. You got it. Give him a treat. I would
Feed me.
What's your name? Dylan. Dylan, I'm Dan. As I said, good to meet you. So we're gonna put down a couple of these little plumbing fixtures, little clean outs with some drain tops on them. These have nothing in them. They're all empty. I actually do not allow water or anything to go in them just because his nose is so sensitive. You go and start putting water in different things. Before you know it, the dogs will eat and everything.
Hey, Dan, what does Shadow drink then? Does he drink tap water?
He does get tap water once in a while, but he gets spring water. We go and buy spring water for the dogs. So, you know, that if you have if you're on a well, my partners are actually on wells, and they get to just drink well water. So, yeah, we don't do the aqua feed or anything. We go to, the 3 or 5 gallon thing, whatever we can get the cheapest. So, I'm gonna put, this is water that we just pulled from the sink in here. I just have, I did a couple practices, but this is paper towel, and I'm gonna soak it in some of this treated water. The reason I do that is he does bang around a bit, and if he spills this high, then he kind of contaminates that area. That's something that he's always gonna locate on now. So, right, there's not a treat or anything, and there's a smell like a treat or anything. I mean, you wouldn't tell you're human anyway. But pour some water in there. The water. A chlorine can burn off pretty fast, but when you have a constant leak, you're losing a couple thousand gallons a day. That chlorine's always there. So, I'm going to ask you to take any one of these, pick it up, and set this down. But before you do, if you've had skeptics, we're covering the dog so that Shadow does not cheat.
Can you see anything,
Can you
Shadow?
verify that there's no dog looking at the... That's right. There is a dog on the blanket. So I'm not going to look either. You're going to go and pick up one of those and set that on any of those areas where the other containers are already clear. Any questions?
Can I use one on the table?
See, that's why we got to clarify. No, I would prefer just to do the floor ones. He has located, during training, elevated heights, but we're just going to go and stick to the ground right now.
You got it.
And I'm not going to look. Steve, I'm just going to talk to you and you can yell out cheater or come to you.
I'm drinking one.
Okay. Before we do this, would you like to try that water just to make sure nothing's in it? We got it from that toilet over there.
You got it.
Thank you.
All right, good.
You're good, Dylan.
Thank you, everybody.
Now, he may get interested in, he's a dog, he likes to search around. He may come up and see you, just ignore him. You guys all saw where the hide is, right?
I forgot.
Yeah, I guess I failed at that. You guys also need to know where the hide is, right? Otherwise, I
Still in
can
his
just say,
pocket.
yeah, that is it. So you're gonna see Shadow look down, find the one that has the water. He's gonna snap his head back up at me. What's he gonna say?
Hey.
Hey. Shadow, seek. Good.
Hey.
Now,
What you
Hello?
guys got over
see
here?
that? Seek. Yes?
No.
No? Oh, boy.
He's just going, I'm gonna get all I can out of you.
Yeah. We're gonna go and set it, reset. I wanna make sure we got good water here. Come on, buddy. Yeah, you can't get away with that.
Yeah, but all these people love me. I'm okay.
Dylan, would you come up here again?
Yeah.
If you guys can,
That's pretty low.
I don't want him to do any false alerts. You guys see him on that and he looks at me and it's the one. You guys say yes with me?
Yeah. Yeah.
He'll like it when you say yes no matter what. There you go.
You gotta cover him up, Webb.
He's watching. They're in your pocket.
Okay.
Dana White.
Hey, come here. Shadow. Shadow. Hey. See?
Yes.
Yes, good boy!
Yeah, when he went by the food stand, I thought, oh no, but he turned right around and come back.
Yes, good
Yes,
boy!
it's right there, Dad.
Now, when we go out to the water department, we do go and do a couple of training sessions with their water. It's sort of like a margarita. Everyone knows what a margarita is. Go down to Mexico and have one, you go down to Florida. They all taste like a margarita, but they're all a little same. So we like to go and actually do a couple of training sessions on your water to get them really targeted into that. Questions?
What if you use monochloramine for chlorination or chloramation?
Town of Albion uses that, and we have no problem locating it.
Really?
Yes. Any other questions?
Or somebody's got a sprinkler system and they just spray their lawn with all that water.
We're gonna know. Maybe you'll start rolling around through the whole thing.
The chlorine dissipates
Yeah, right
pretty
here.
quickly when you spread it out
Oh, I
like
was
that.
gonna just ask, do you, put his belt on when, just for work? I mean, when does he know when it's time? to
Yeah,
get out?
typically he wears that only for work. I've had it on him today, just to, sort of promote him, but, yeah, typically he knows when that vest goes on, it's work time. And we actually have a little connection that happens where I always start him out on his neck, and when I go and switch to his harness, and I say, Shadow, he looks up at me, and I know he's like, we're gonna go and do this.
Ready to go to
So,
work.
yeah, that vest is his gear, that's his work gear, he knows he's gonna work that. Any more questions?
When you go into a town, how do you know where to start? Or do you do the whole system, or do typically they have an idea about where?
Hopefully, you're able to, look at some master meters and verify a district here, a road here has got the leak. we can do a whole system, but, it helps to have documentation of where the water line is and somehow isolate it to, and, you know, like anything, try to isolate it as small as you can and then start doing leak detection.
Dylan, would you say you need to learn faster if like the chlorine residual was a lot higher?
We pulled a .11 from here, and yeah.
I just now pulled a .20.
We got so up to 2.20 we got here.
Which is fairly well.
It's by no means high. I'd like it, especially if I'm working with someone that has, you know, is willing to go and bump it up a little bit for the day. That just makes it better.
Sure.
You know,
Do you think he loves his job?
I think he loves his job. Yes.
I do too.
Yes. Something in the back there?
We had a leak that was surfacing up in a creek, but the leak was underground quite a ways away. How would you react to something like that? Any idea?
So you're saying water mixing in?
Yeah. So we ended up, you know, we were losing, you know, 1,000 a day here and there, you know, and we were checking, testing everywhere, and they ended up testing, you know, a creek, we got fluoride, and so I didn't know, you know, since it was actually surfacing in the creek,
Yep.
you would be able to find it.
Well, that chlorine smell is still coming up
From
somewhere. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, they can. The water's not going to stop, and that smell is still coming up through.
Okay.
Yeah. Steve? Oh yeah. Yeah, we did. Sort of did a job that he did as well in Albion, right?
No, I wasn't.
We got called to Albion.
Demonstrating it all?
Oh, that, yes.
Yeah.
So, one of our partners down in Tennessee, she was doing a demo, and she had some hides set out, and she went to go have the dog find them. The dog kept trying to go to the other side of the road, and she's like, "No, we got to do this demo." So after a couple minutes, she's like, "All right, I'm going to let the dog have the reins." They went across the road. The dog alerted on a leak. They dug that leak right there. Pictures and everything. They found a leak during the demo. So that's pretty cool.
And what was on the surface?
It was not surfacing. No, I mean it was just across the street during a whole leak detection program. You'd think that someone, if it was being seen, someone would have said, "Hey, there's a leak right there." But yeah, it was definitely not surfacing. The dog did find it.
Dan, how busy are you?
I'm real busy.
You're promoting us to give dogs yourself, so I figure I'm pretty busy.
As far as work,
Just generally, I mean,
it's a little slower now. So many people do not know about this being available. I work with Town of Avon right now, and I'm just kind of going through their transmission line, just trying to mark leaks. I don't know if they're really digging on all of them right now, because the end plan is to get it replaced. So digging and repairing is not the I think the main goal. I think the main goal is to say, "Oh my God, we have 20 leaks on this.
Yeah.
We really do need to get this replaced." So we expect it to pick up a bit. My partners down south, Carrie Hessler, a lot more people know her, and I think she gets quite a few calls and we stay pretty busy.
I assume you're always full time.
Say what?
You don't want to work for
I like working for Geneseo. You know, it's if this took over, yeah, it'd be cool. But it also gives me the experience to go out and do all the leak detection. You know, it's such good real life experience out there, and that's one thing that we all benefit. If you guys want your own leak dog, you've already got a place to go and take them and start finding leaks. So that's.
Do you fee based by the hour, by the day?
We do by the day. It's $350 to show up, that pays for, you know, me getting there, a little bit of my time and the dog's time. And then if we confirm a leak, it's $650 more, which, you know, you've got a little 1/8 inch leak that isn't showing itself and isn't gonna show itself for another 10 years. $1,000 isn't too bad to get rid of that, get that off your leak inventory.
Do you have a false alarm?
You can. You just saw one there. No, as I said, nothing is perfect. I like to go out and the dog, I've never seen him really try to lie to me. And he knows if he alerts he's getting paid, but you know, it does happen. So if I go out and I walk a mile line and I get 5 alerts, I recommend taking your whole toolbox out there of not just relying on the dog, but instead of, you know, that mile, now you have 5 individual spots to go look. Go and verify what those leaks are, or what the dog's alerting on. So it does happen, and that, he's relatively young. He's 1.5 years. My partner's dog is 5. He's been doing scent sports since he was a pup. So he's got a lot of background. He's really reliable, and reliability will come with practice and training and time. So it's a time game to get them, just keep working them better and better. I mean, at home, I train by telling one of my kids to go dump a glass of water out in the middle of the yard, and we go find a dump, just water dumped in the grass. There's things you can do to just keep. It's a lifelong training thing. Even after you complete the course, you still need to keep training and training. You don't just meet the dog at work the next day. I mean, he needs to stay on top of it.
That course you did online, how long was it? Like 6 months?
I would call it a safe 6 months,
yeah.
Plus or minus. We will customize to what you need. I was doing this last spring when a ton of resident geese were about. Shadow loves goose poop. So we actually stepped back and developed a training course, or a part of the training, to basically make it so that he would bypass that goose poop without, trying to get to him. He wasn't alerting on it, but it was making him stumble on the way to find the hive. Really liked it. So it's an investment in time and money to do the course. Some people, want to rush it, but it's gonna. We'll go through it with you. We verify that you're doing good. We want you to succeed. So that's. I think that answers that one.
Yeah.
There you go.
So your chlorine residuals in your water, I've done this as a test just to see what's going on, but I took my dirty finger, stuck it in the beaker,
And it died.
and it kills the chlorine.
Yeah.
It eats the chlorine right up. So how do they detect on that?
Well, when you have
If
a
it's coming through the
constant
ground,
flow,
it's constantly there then.
it's just, and eventually it sort of burns off a little bit of that
Right.
stuff in the surrounding area.
Right, kills that off, so there's still a
It
residual.
kills your organics. You ever see it, you got grasses, it starts growing
okay.
little seaweed, it turns white, it's killing all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's how he's able to actually do it out in the field.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. As far as hurting his paws,
No, just the smell.
because chlorine is derived from the salt.
That and the air, so
No, I've not had any problems with the salt. I think in that first video there was it showed we were out looking and there was snow. I haven't seen that. These dogs can pick up so many different smells, many more than we can. They're able to cut out the different things of what they are. So they come from the same things, but really they're separate. Anything else?
Raw water line, they got 12 miles of it. I use for manual.
Yeah.
Could you trim your dog for like
well, he's already, you know, permanganates in the water. It's in our system through the village. They use permanganate. So that's just part of the, that's part of the cocktail. Do you not have chlorine in it at that point?
No.
Now, we haven't trained on just permanganate. You can go in and print dogs to basically go after anything you want to train on. I mean, they have the canine dogs and they're finding the little disc, you know, computer disc. Here in the back.
I'm certified with the steam track blood.
Oh, awesome.
I got a gear track dog. It actually just passed away last month. But anyway, he's certified, uncertified. He tracks blood. They could also take different, you have, the shoes they put the hooks, lock into. We make different trails, but if you take the lead set, you walk through that, they can pick up the difference between the trails. Just like the water.
Yeah. You can't beat having a dog's nose out there. I mean, they're amazing. Thanks for that. Thank you for coming, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation.
Thank you so much, Dan.
My cousin lives like maybe 5 minutes away from Warsaw. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Well, nice seeing you guys. Take care. You too. Stay safe. Take care.
You too.
Where are you from?
Naples.
Naples.
I just saw him up in Buffalo. We went to a thing up there.
I saw him spring.
Him and Elisa was.
Oh, gotcha. Good.
So it was cool. It was an outdoor, so it spread them out a little more. It was neat.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. I'm wondering how much better a southern dog is because they've
Somebody's going to stand over there and then pick class. What's that? Oh. Thank you.
I got dinner tonight.
He'll like fake fight me, like he'll grab Peter will grab my arm and go like this, and she'll bite him. It's like play biting. I like to think if there was an emergency, she would jump over.
I'll get there eventually, but thank you.
It's 7 hours.
show up, if you find nothing.
Show up, do the
it's-
searches.
If you find nothing,
If we find nothing, it's just $350. If we do find something, it jumps to $650.
Oh, yeah, the one
On
down
top.
top. You guys just got some orders now.
what's it cost for
Yeah.
training? You want to train?
I was something to come to that.
Train your own dog is about
Because you were right
$20,000.
on the money.
20?
Good deal. Good deal.
Sorry. We train
Yeah,
is
the
20.
snow chasers
If you want to
get
train your own
another-
dog, it's $20,000.
Okay.
Correlator is gonna cost you 20 grand anyway.
Thanks for stopping
Yes.
by.
Now you got a dog as the correlator.
Well, we
for-
could call New
as
York.
long as he lives, right?
New York Raw Water for the,
We should have
for the
one too.
correlator.
I recommend.
Hey, you got your-
Did,
I recommend if you do want to get a, we're looking at getting a dog, to get a dog that's somewhat younger, if not a puppy, because the time you have invested in them, you know.
Want him to live long enough to
Yeah,
get
if
your
you
money
get,
back.
you might get 10 years out of him if he's a pup. But if you're taking an 8-year-old dog and putting him to work, which he's gonna love it, because old dogs love to do that kind of work.
It was.
About a year and a half.
That's how old he is?
Yeah.
That's great. That's no big deal at all.
We gotta
We'll
get
see.
it right on the back. I know mine has 20,000 out of 58.